Food prices have gone up about 28% in just the past 5 years. And I don't know about you, but it feels like a lot more than that. So these are some habits and hacks that I use that can help you save between 30 and 50% on your food bill. Choose your grocery store wisely. Well, I am gonna get into some nitty-gritty things that you probably haven't heard about. Generally, the most obvious things will actually make the biggest impact, and for me, that was changing grocery stores. There are stores like Aldi's, or for me, Market Basket. There's also like a restaurant supply store around that you can get things really cheap. And when I shift from going to the closest thing, or just what I am used to actually choosing a store based on price, that will probably make the biggest impact on your grocery budget. These other things will definitely help, but start off with just exploring around you. I've tried Googling like restaurant supply places or discount food places in my city, and I was able to find a couple. If not, I hit some of those other stores, which are just cheaper for everything across the board. Go generic. A lot of times generic and name brand will actually be made at the same facility. They just put like different packaging on it and stuff. A lot of times the ingredients are very close to being the same. Every once in a while, some things are actually better, but I actually did a test a couple of years ago, and a lot of things are completely fine generic versus name brand. And if you want to have some fun, get both on a bunch of staples and just taste test ones and see which one you like more. Avoid prepackaged food. I believe there is this misconception that prepackaged and like fast food and junk food is always cheaper than not, but I do not think that is correct. We eat a lot of rice and potatoes and oatmeal and things like that. And then of course, chicken or some type of meat, depending on what's on sale. And generally that is way more filling. And while it might be more expensive up front, you're gonna get way more food than just the prepackaged stuff that's also not making you feel as good. And I do think that there is a little bit of that balance of you can't always go with the cheapest thing, because a lot of times that will just make you feel way worse and will be more expensive in the long run. Plus, if you're following a bunch of the next tips that I'm about to talk about, it'll generally end up being cheaper to actually buy whole foods. Do meal planning. One of the biggest wastes when it comes to food is not eating all of the food that you cook, or not even getting to the point where you cook all the food that you buy because you go to the store hungry. You should never go to the store hungry, or you just like don't have a plan for all the food that you have. So make a calendar. I got something from Amazon to make a calendar with. Take some time each week and just plan out what you're gonna eat for the entire week, and then reverse engineer that and make a grocery list. This will ensure that everything you buy, you actually have a plan on how you're gonna use. And I've kind of created a rule that I'm not allowed to buy anything that is not on that grocery list, and that saves me a bunch of money because it's very easy to impulse buy, especially at the grocery store where you're like, oh, this thing's on sale, or this thing's whatever. I'm just gonna buy that, and I'm sure I'll use it sometimes. And a lot of times those end up going to waste because we buy more than we need at the store, or it just doesn't fit into what we end up actually doing. So just spend time to actually make a plan. Pay attention to unit prices. I always used to think that buying the biggest package of whatever I'm looking for was the cheapest thing, but I've actually found that sometimes it's not, and it's actually more expensive to buy in bulk than it would be to buy separately. So you actually have to pay attention to the unit price of stuff, because a lot of times that will actually tell you what is the cheapest or most expensive when things are different sizes. By the way, if you're enjoying this video and you're getting any type of value, it would mean a ton if you would drop a like and subscribe. Really helps the algorithm. Use a grocery app. If you struggle with impulse buying and the other stuff I mentioned doesn't work for you, you can try actually having food delivered. Well, this might be like $5 to $10 depending on how far away you are and what apps you use, and different grocery stores are different. If you can save an hour of your life, the gas money going to and from, and then plus not impulse buy a couple things, sometimes it's even cheaper to have food delivered to your house than it is to actually go out and buy that stuff. Maybe it is for you, maybe it isn't for you. This is something that we do occasionally. So maybe just think about, is it worth your time and money to go to the store, or is it actually cheaper to stay home? Stock up on sale items. I think this is more of an obvious one, but there's a lot of times things go on sale. When you know things are a good deal, just buy extra and keep them around for later. If you do this with even just a few staples, it can really add up. Go to California Burrito. I'm 99% sure that you do not have one of these near you, but I wanted to use this as an example. There's this burrito place nearby that's called California Burrito that's actually relatively cheap. And so like once a week, we will go and we'll get about 4 meals there. And this generally costs $51 for me and my wife and my daughter and my son to all have dinner or lunch and dinner at this place. So while it's definitely more expensive than just like making the same food at home, compared to like us going out to a restaurant and having to sit down and having, tip and getting way less food, it's actually cheaper than all of us having one meal at a sit down restaurant. That's less food. We get about double the food for, half the price. So if there is a restaurant like that nearby, try making that your go-to so that you can still go out to dinner occasionally, but it doesn't have to break the bank. Shop the bottom shelf. They've actually spent millions of dollars to understand the psychology and neuroscience of users, meaning eye tracking, brain scanning, and other forms of evaluation. For instance, the bottom shelves are targeting younger kids. Like that's eye level for children. The middle and top shelf cereal boxes have characters' eyes facing downwards so that they actually look at children. And the top or middle shelves are where the expensive stuff is, because that's typically where adults are looking, as long as it's not a kid's product. And the bottom shelf is typically for kids with lower cost items. This is just something to be aware of. Generally, right at eye level is going to be the most expensive products. And if you look lower, you might get those off-brand or just cheaper alternatives, or just the unit price will be, cheaper if it's not directly at eye level. It's kind of a weird one, but it can actually save money if you just stop looking directly in front of you. Try the 6-1 rule. I actually learned this from TikTok. This rule covers 6 categories of food. You're gonna get 6 veggies, 5 fruits, 4 proteins, 3 starches, 2 sources of spreads, and of course, 1 fun thing for yourself. This is kind of similar to a strategy that I use, which is simply shopping the outside of the store, the perimeter of the store, where the actual whole foods are that are not in packages, they're not processed. This generally leads to me not only feeling a lot better because I'm eating healthier, real whole foods, but also ends up being a lot cheaper. Cook from scratch. I've tried meal planning kits, and while some of them are good, you're definitely paying more in order to have, things already prepared for you. And I've done the math and it was very scary. And so just in general, if you are doing those, just know that you're paying a premium for that food, and it's way more efficient to just make your own food from scratch. Use leftovers creatively. One of my favorite things to do is actually take whatever leftovers we have, whether it be burgers or rice or stew, and kind of put them all together and turn them into something else. As an example, we had rice and we had stew meat left over from different meals, and I put those together in a pan with a couple eggs from our chickens out back and then some soy sauce, and I turned it into a completely different meal with just the same ingredients that we had in our fridge. So really just interesting way to mix things up by just adding seasoning to your leftovers to make it more interesting. All right, we're going rapid fire now. Shred and slice your own cheese. You pay a premium for things that are already cut up for you, whether it's vegetables or cheese or whatever. Just cut it yourself. It's way cheaper. Try recreating your favorite meals at home. There's a lot of really fun viral recipes that are actually pretty simple to make, and you'll get way more food for generally cheaper. So if you have something that you're really craving, instead of having it delivered or going out and getting it, just try taking probably the same amount of time and recreating it yourself. Always have leftover. If you just don't have the time to cook every single day, either batch cook things that you can freeze like I mentioned, or just have enough leftovers that you can have the same meal 3 times throughout the week. That way you have to cook way less. Try a mystery meal. Once a month, we try to just look through our cabinet and our pantry and just find that we have and try to make some type of meal out of it. Generally, it's not always great, but it's extremely fun, and you can get to see all the stuff that you have hiding in your cabinets and stuff, and you can use up a couple things in your fridge before they go bad. It's kind of like recreating Chopped. It's actually really fun. So try that out. A lot of times it can eliminate a lot of waste.